lads, we're going to talk a little bit about the fourth quarter, and we're going to be talking a little bit about how the Atlanta Dream, in my opinion, just had no answer for Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever in that fourth quarter. And realistically, for quite a bit of the second half, they had no answer for an aggressive.
So today, lads, we're diving into that crucial fourth quarter where the Atlanta Dream just couldn't hold it together against Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever. The way Clark came alive late in the game, absolutely unreal. The Dream had no answer. None. Let's be honest, for most of the second half, Caitlin Clark was playing with purpose, aggression, and relentless energy.
Let me say this about the Atlanta Dream. Y'all was hanging in there for 2 quarters, but then y'all ran out of gas. Cause you know why? The Indiana Fever ran y'all out y'all own building, and it was a sight to see.
The Atlanta Dream's coaching staff looked absolutely stunned. You could see it on their faces when the buzzer rang. They had no clue how to stop her, and that says a lot. Let's talk about that moment. The Indiana Fever straight up ran the Dream out of their own building. It was wild. Y'all were good for 2 quarters, hanging in there, battling. Then, boom. Fever lit a fire, and Atlanta just couldn't catch their breath. Y'all were gassed, huffing, puffing, grabbing at air, while Caitlin Clark orchestrated the game like a maestro. It's a lesson to every team that underestimates her. Say she's the 9th best point guard? Really? She doesn't care about rankings.
That the Indiana Fever looked best tonight when the offense was ran through Caitlin Clark. There's no surprise that the offense looked best tonight when we pushed the ball off of a make, pushed the ball off of a miss.
She doesn't need validation from the media or coaches who pretend she's just another rookie. She speaks through action, and she delivered in a big way tonight. And let's not pretend this was just a scoring masterclass, because it wasn't even about the points. She only had 12, but her impact, immeasurable. She had 9 assists, controlled the pace, forced defensive adjustments, made the whole team look better. It was her game from start to finish. The Dream defense was scrambling, reacting late, losing matchups. They had no plan for Clark once she took over. Indiana looked their best when everything ran through her.
There's no surprise that the Indiana Fever looked best tonight when Caitlin Clark was surrounded by players that don't have an ego, surrounded by players that said, "I'm gonna be MVP of the WNBA this year." You see how easy it is.
Push the ball on a make, push the ball on a miss, move fast, keep pressure on the defense. Clark thrives in that chaos. And tonight, Stephanie White finally gave her that freedom for real. No egos, just ballers surrounding her. Players like Aaliyah Boston, Kelsey Mitchell, Sophie Cunningham, ready to play off her energy. Ready to let Clark lead. And when she leads like that, Indiana becomes something dangerous. It wasn't just a win. It was a statement game. It was Clark unleashed. And the Dream coach? He got blindsided. He prepped for a version of Clark that no longer exists. He prepped for someone you could box in, force into a set offense, and frustrate. She's evolved past that. Even when the shots aren't falling, even when her name isn't at the top of the scorer's sheet, she's burning defenders like Jordan Canada, a player with defensive credentials, and yet she got torched. Canada couldn't stay in front of Clark.
Sure, Caitlin Clark had the ball in her hands. She became the creator of offense. That's what we've been saying. Her and Aaliyah Boston, I believe it was 4 times.
The spacing created, because of that, huge. It freed up shooters. It gave Boston room in the post. It opened passing lanes you can't plan for. Clark didn't just play fast. She played smart, manipulating defenders with her movement and vision, delivering hockey assists, shifting the defense until someone got an open look. That's what separates her. And here's the beauty. The Dream watched hours of tape, tried every tactic, probably had meetings about full court pressure, double teams, trying to wear her down. Nothing worked. Nothing mattered. Because when Clark dictates pace, when she sets the tone, she's going to win 9 times out of 10. It's mind-blowing that coaches spend this much time game planning around her and then have the audacity to rank her 9th among point guards.
Got the Stockton-Malone 2-man game working. Dantas got involved at one point with Caitlin Clark. Caitlin was still off on her shooting.
9th? That's comical. You don't build entire defensive strategies around someone you think is 9th best. You don't burn energy trying to neutralize someone you supposedly believe isn't elite. The contradiction is glaring, The Dream tried to body her early. They were physical. They had hands on her constantly. They tried to rough her up. It was borderline mauling at times. And still, she played through it, absorbed contact, kept attacking. That one drive where she accepted the hit and still finished the and one, that's grit. That's leadership. You can't teach that. You can't coach that. It's instinct and toughness combined in one player. And again,
even when she wasn't exactly getting when it wasn't her putting the ball in the basket or her showing up on the stat sheet, she was burning Jordan Canada. And people don't understand how good Jordan Canada is.
She did all of this while not being 100%. We know she's been fighting through injuries, a quad, a groin, soreness here and there. She's still coming back from that, and yet her floor presence changes games. Opponents know it too, which is why they're trying so hard to stop her. It's not enough to just take away her three-point shot because she'll beat you with drives or dimes. She's always a step ahead, adapting, adjusting, controlling the emotional rhythm of a game. When Atlanta had a moment, a spurt of confidence, an energy burst, Clark would counter it. Her plays weren't always flashy, but they were surgical, cutting into whatever momentum the Dream thought they had. And that's what elite point guards do. They manage the game's pulse, decide when to accelerate, when to pass, when to attack, when to reset.
Absolutely burning Jordan Canada. Canada could not stay in front of her. And that is a big thing. That is genuinely a big thing. That if you can't stay in front of her, it creates a space for everybody else. And there were some hockey assists, there was good ball movement.
Clark did that tonight to perfection. Stephanie White finally let go of the leash, and look what happened. The Fever played fast, they played smart, and most importantly, they played together. It was Clark setting the tone, and everyone else following. Clark, this is no longer about potential or hype. This is about reality. Caitlin Clark is not just a star in the making, she's already arrived. The way she dissected Atlanta's defense, manipulated matchups, and created scoring opportunities, even without her trademark long-range shooting being on point, proves just how complete her game really is.
Obviously, tough game. I thought we had a good first half. We were really competitive. Second half we just had so many defensive breakdowns, and give them credit. They were getting extra possessions, and those extra possessions.
You can't coach this level of instinct. You can't replicate her vision in practice. You either have it or you don't, and Clark clearly does. And now that Stephanie White seems to finally be unlocking that potential by allowing Clark to be Clark, the Fever are reaping the rewards. There will still be growing pains. There will still be nights where the shots don't fall or where defenses succeed in frustrating her. But the blueprint is here. Let Caitlin lead. Let her dictate the rhythm. Let her take the reins and trust that her basketball IQ and instinct will deliver results more often than not. You don't just stumble onto a player who can read the floor the way she does. You don't often get a guard who can lead fast breaks, control half-court sets, and make defensive reads like a seasoned veteran. The impact of her presence transcends scoring stats or highlight plays. She sets the tone. She establishes a culture of confidence and resilience, and that matters. Let's not forget that this is still Clark's rookie season. She's not even scratched the surface of her full capabilities yet. And already, she's shifting narratives.
Just valuing ending their possession. It's not enough to force a tough shot. We got to come down with the ball. And then, we had some defensive breakdowns and they made us pay for. They were able to extend.
Dominating coverage and putting fear into the hearts of veteran coaches. There's a reason why every team now circles Indiana on the calendar. It's because of Caitlin Clark. They're not preparing for the Indiana Fever. They're preparing for Caitlin Clark. That's the level she's already reached. That's the influence she holds. Now imagine what she'll be a year from now, 2 years from now, when her shot is falling consistently, when her body is fully healed, when she's completely acclimated to the pace and physicality of the WNBA. It's scary. She's not just changing the way her team plays, she's changing the way the game is viewed. She's drawing in new fans, increasing viewership, and elevating the entire league's visibility. That alone should silence any remaining doubters. You want to know why coaches go out of their way to rough her up, to push her, grab her, and throw her off rhythm?
Atlanta Dream were able to really neutralize Caitlin Clark in the first half. And I know Caitlin Clark had 5 first half assists, but they were able to neutralize Caitlin Clark's impact on the game in that first half. And in the second,
it's because they're scared. They know they're watching something that doesn't come around often. They know that as soon as she finds her footing, as soon as her confidence kicks in and her rhythm becomes consistent, she's going to be a nightmare matchup for years. They see what's coming, and it terrifies them. There's a reason fans are glued to the screen when she plays. It's not just the flashy plays or deep threes, it's the total package. The leadership, the control, the awareness, the flair, the fight. Caitlin Clark embodies everything you want in a franchise cornerstone, and she's delivering it under a microscope. Every move she makes is analyzed, criticized, dissected, and yet she continues to rise above it. She continues to fight through injuries, double teams, media pressure, and questionable coaching decisions to give fans something to believe in. And now that Stephanie White has finally started to trust her to let her run the show, the Fever are becoming must-watch basketball. It's not just about one game against Atlanta. It's about the shift we're seeing.
Regardless of the box score numbers, how Caitlin completely took over. So, the big way they were able to neutralize Caitlin Clark, and I think it was almost an issue with Stephanie White as much as anything, is
the moment Clark was handed the keys, she floored the gas pedal. This is how dynasties begin, with a player who refuses to conform, who redefines roles, who demands that systems adjust to her rather than the other way around. Clark is that kind of player. She doesn't fit into molds, she breaks them. And the Fever are finally starting to realize that if they want to build something sustainable, they need to ride her wave. The 9th best point guard in the league? Please. That's an insult not just to her, but to the fans, the viewers, and even the opposing coaches who know better. Coaches who are on camera calling for double teams, for traps, for body checks. That's not how you treat the 9th best anything. That's how you treat a problem you can't solve. That's how you treat the best player on the floor.
You saw Clark sort of gaining her rhythm as the game went along, sort of returning to her form as the game went along, finding that pep in her step as the game went along, even though the shooting numbers were tour dates again, and she's got to find that shooting stroke at some point. Look, it can't go on.
Clark's impact is undeniable. Her ability to shift the gravity of the court, to draw attention away from teammates and give them better opportunities, it's special. You can't measure that impact in a stat sheet. It's a presence, a force, an energy, something that elevates everyone around her. Aaliyah Boston looks more dominant when Clark is creating spacing and feeding her in the post. Mitchell thrives when defenders are caught ball-watching Clark. Cunningham benefits when Clark draws 2 defenders and kicks out. It's a ripple effect, one that starts with confidence, belief, and freedom. And now that Caitlin's been given that freedom, the Fever are finally moving in the right direction.
On all year, but you understand where some of those struggles come from when you deal with a quad injury and then a groin injury and you're thrust back into the lineup and you're trying to find your way. But I do think it was the way that Clark found her way to the basket that was the difference.